May 7th, 2021, the largest fuel pipeline in the United States shut down completely, not because of a physical attack, not because of a natural disaster, but because of one compromised VPN account, no multi-factor authentication, password probably leaked on the dark web, and in 4 days, the US East Coast ran out of fuel, panic buying, empty pumps, a national state of emergency was declared. Here's exactly what happened inside the Colonial Pipeline attack and what it tells us about how unprepared critical infrastructure still is. Colonial Pipeline carries 45% of the fuel supply to US East Coast. That's about 100 million gallons per day from Texas to New York. It is categorized as critical infrastructure, which is supposed to mean it meets a higher security standard. And in practice, that standard was one VPN account, no MFA, and a password that had likely been sold on credential dump on the dark web. The attackers were a ransom group called DarkSide, a ransomware as a service operation that lists its malware to affiliates in exchange for a cut of the ransom. We're professional, organized, and running what amounted to a business. The FBI found that attackers accessed Colonial's network through a legacy VPN profile, one that was not even actively being used by employees at that time. The account still had valid credentials, nobody had revoked it, nobody had noticed it was sitting there unused with a valid login. The password for that account was found in a batch of leaked credentials on the dark web, meaning it had likely been compromised in a previous breach at another service where the same password was reused. DarkSide did not do anything sophisticated. They found an open door and walked through it. No zero-day exploits, no advanced tooling, just a username, a password, and an old VPN account that nobody remembered to close. That was enough to access the network of a company responsible for nearly half of the East Coast fuel supply. Once inside, the attackers moved laterally through the Colonial's IT network over approximately 2 weeks. During that time, they exfiltrated approximately 100 gigabytes of data before deploying the ransomware payload. This is the standard double extortion playbook, which is steal the data first, encrypt second. The threat is two-pronged. Pay us or you stay encrypted, and you publish everything we took. And Colonial paid 75 Bitcoin within hours of discovering the attack. That time was approximately $4.4 million. The FBI later recovered 2.3 of it by seizing the wallet, which suggested the attackers made a mistake with their key management. And the speed of payment tells you everything about how Colonial calculated the risk. They did not try to negotiate. They did not try to restore from backups. They paid immediately because they could not afford to be shut down for any longer than they already were. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. Colonial did not shut down the pipeline because the pipeline's operational systems were encrypted. The ransomware hit the IT network, billing, business operations, corporate systems. The pipeline's operational technology network was a separate system. They shut down by choice. Because the attack hit their billing and IT system, they could not confirm the safety of their operational technology network. They chose to stop operations rather than risk running the pipeline without being certain its controls had not been compromised. Think about what that means. The hackers did not physically stop the fuel. Colonial's own leadership stopped the fuel because the security incident at that time made normal operations impossible to verify. That is a fundamentally different kind of threat to critical infrastructure than most people understand. You do not need to directly attack an industrial control system. You just need to make the operator so uncertain about their own security that they shut themselves down. Here are 3 lessons we can learn from this particular attack. One is that legacy accounts are your most dangerous vulnerability. Every unused account with valid credential is an unlocked door. Colonial had a VPN account that nobody was using, that nobody revoked, that had a reused password from an old breach. That was the entire attack. Conduct regular access reviews. Revoke what is not needed. This is not complicated. This is just discipline. Number 2 is going to be that OT and IT separation is not operational at critical infrastructure. Colonial's willingness to shut down rather than risk OT compromise was actually the right call. The reason they needed to make that call at all was that the architecture did not guarantee separation. If you are running critical infrastructure, the system that run the physical operations, and the system that run the business should not be able to reach each other without strict controls. 3 is that being ransom funds the next attack. Colonial's payments proved that attacking critical infrastructure is profitable, and within months, the same playbook was used against meat packing plants, hospitals, and water treatment facilities. The decision to pay is understandable, and in the moment, the systemic consequences are not. One account, no MFA, one reused password, 45% of the East Coast fell gone for 5 days. The technology to prevent this existed in 2021. It exists now. The problem has never been the tool. It is whether organizations treat security as an operating requirement or an afterthought. If this video surprised you, subscribe, because we're going to be covering how to lock down your phone so that a thief gets nothing useful, even if they have it in their hands. See you in the next one.